Welcome to Saleswarrior War Room. Hey everybody, welcome to the first ever episode of Saleswarrior War Room. Really excited. Today we have a special guest, Dionne Malish, all the way from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, right, Dionne?
Yeah, here we go, Steelers. Yes, that's where I'm from.
Awesome. All right, awesome. Dionne, tell me. Okay, so the show is called Saleswarrior War Room. And I just kind of want to understand, like, from your perspective, like, what sales have you done?
So I pretty much have been doing sales my entire adult life. I
Okay.
started a business immediately right out of art school. And so I had no choice but to sell because if I wanted to make money, I had to sell. So I
Right.
don't always look at it that way though. I didn't always look at like I'm a salesperson, right? Because I was a creative and I was a graphic
Yeah.
designer. So I had this skill. But at the end of the
Yeah.
day, without having sales, I couldn't have had business and I couldn't have made a living. So, yeah, so I've been doing it. I'm 56 and I graduated art school when I was 19 and I immediately started a business right from there. So I tried to have a
Oh,
job
wow.
in the middle of it all, but then I realized I wasn't made to have a job. So I sold myself right out of that job and back.
Okay. Okay.
So I've
Cool.
been on the entrepreneurial journey for a long time. So
Yeah.
sales has been a big part of it. And, I realized that the skills that we, as a real estate professional now and owning a real estate brokerage,
Yeah.
they don't really teach us about sales. They teach us about, things that we don't need to know. Teach us about parts and pieces of houses like we're builders, but they don't actually teach us the skill of selling. So that's
Right.
been a struggle for me as an owner to, how do you teach people how to sell because they don't look at themselves that way. Like I told you about the graphic design side, I didn't look at myself as a
Yeah.
salesperson. So real
Sure.
estate agents don't look at themselves that way, and they need it more than anyone because we are selling someone's largest financial investment of their life, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I agree. You know, here's just kind of like a creative thought I had the other day while watching a horrible movie. Um, that's just the way my mind works. Um, I was thinking about like the female side of selling, like because there's so much out there about like the macho side of selling, like
Yeah.
close the deal, prospect the client. Everything seems like you have somebody like almost in a boxing ring and you're just like beating them in submission and you get them to sign the dotted line. And no, they don't want to sign the dotted line. So you put them into a headlock and you flip their legs out and now they're signing the dotted line. And honestly, I mean, I've been in sales for 34 years and I've never done that. I have never done that. I've never seen a need to do that. But what I think is so powerful about having you on, because you are a woman, the side of sales, like what the turnoffs are, like when somebody's trying to sell you something, and when you like might even shut down and decide right then and there you're not going to buy from that individual. Would that be correct?
I mean, I think it's just part of being a woman, the intuition, you kind of know you can shut it down a little differently. I do think that I've had both sides of it though, where, the
Yeah.
aggressive sales side, as a person, me trying to learn that skill and maybe being more aggressive. And I know that there's times that I didn't understand it. So for me, the biggest thing that helped me be better at sales was learning
Yeah.
people's personalities and learning about disc profiling. And now I learned something called bank methodology, where I learn their personality. So then I know how better to speak to them. And that's for me
Okay.
been huge. And I think probably 15 years ago, I had a friend who was a coach, and we sat
Yeah.
down and we learned all of the different personality types to the point where I was really taking my presentation to that person. So I came up with an idea, like ask them 3 questions. When they answer these 3 questions, then I create my presentation around that versus just
I
going
like it.
with the same thing over and over again. So then
Yeah.
for the years, I keep learning about that because there is a soft side of selling for sure. And I think it's more people in the population are attracted to the soft side. So if you actually looked at a disc profiling, you see how many people are at that high D level versus people that are the influential or stable that really want that hug. And when you meet with them, they want to love you by the time you leave. There are
Right.
way more people in the world that are of that personality type that want that. Where that
Yeah.
macho, deep, I'm a high D personality, so I have to adjust
Right.
that down, right? I have to adjust that. And it took me a long time to realize how important it was for me to adjust to them.
Sure.
And I don't think people learn like that. I think they learn about how to sell, but they don't know who to sell to.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Do your agents, as I know they're going to find this out as they go along, and it should be mentioned. Like, how many agents do you have now working for you, Dionne?
We are steady at around 200, and we're trying to bust through this year to get to 300. It's definitely our goal to get through it. And attrition
Okay.
happens. People get out of business. They move on. They do things, but
Yeah.
I really am focused this year on getting to that 300 number.
Good for you. 200. Wow.
I had to
Because
sell
I
our company a lot,
was
right? I had
thinking
to
when you
sell
and I,
our
yeah, you're selling people on coming on board for your business. So when you and I first started speaking, I was thinking you were north of 100, like you're like
company.
150, 160. Did you add a bunch last year?
So we did add a bunch, but we lost a bunch too because a lot of people actually got out of the business because it was so difficult. Because
Okay.
COVID made real estate easy, and then now it's back to normal real estate where you actually have to work. And so there's a whole bunch of people that are like, I don't want to do this anymore. It's not fun.
Yeah. Okay, okay. That's interesting. You bring up a good point. I think about this a lot when I'm selling, because you mentioned like personality types. I always key in on personality types. I also key in on occupation,
Yeah.
because somebody that's an accountant, somebody that's an operations director, somebody that's an electrical engineer, somebody that's a physician, you speak differently to than like somebody that's a graphic designer, somebody that's a florist, somebody that's a painter, um, somebody that does roofs for a living. You speak differently to different people based upon their backgrounds, I think.
I'm with you. In fact, I like that idea. It makes it a little easier to segregate, right? You can look at a population of teachers. They love to nurture people, right? So they also love to be nurtured. There's that,
Right.
you know. And so, in fact, I had a teacher just call me yesterday about, hey, I want to get my license. And I'm like, oh my gosh, teachers and nurses make the best real estate agents because they've been through so much. They've dealt with so many different personalities up until that point. And that's why it's so funny. I just was thinking of this. I worked at McDonald's when I first got when I was in high school, and for 5 years I worked there. Do you know what I learned about selling at McDonald's? A lot,
Okay.
right? You learn suggestive selling. They teach you
Oh,
how
really?
to
Okay.
they teach you how to deal with personalities where that person comes in every day. I want that free coffee. I want that free coffee till one day they slam it down. They want that free coffee. So rather than respond, which you want to, you have to learn to deal with personalities. So you learn a ton about people and life by working at a job like that. I think it's important for everyone that they need to have a job in customer service like that. That'll teach you a lot of skills that you'll use later on in your life. But I think there's no better profession than being in sales. You can make more money than you ever dreamed. People are so successful in sales. I think you have to look at it sometimes differently, and you have to treat the people differently. It's not the same presentation for all people.
I like the route we're going down, like talking about like selling to personality types. And then I would break it down even too, like selling to demographics. But because I'm a student of demographics. And you think about like you and I are both Generation X. We're on the older end of Generation X, almost like bumping up against the baby boomers, so to speak,
Yeah,
but we're sadly still Generation X. But then you got right behind us is what? The millennials, right?
yeah.
Yeah, they're right. And it's a completely different like mindset. So if you meet somebody, say 45 years of age, somebody 45 years of age is a old millennial, the oldest millennial. So if you
Okay.
meet somebody this year that's
Yeah, makes
45,
sense.
they're the oldest millennial. Now they can go two directions. They might be more the personality type of the millennials if they hung around a lot of, people their age or younger, or if they hung around people like our age or maybe 5 years older than them, they might be more like Gen X.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. That's a good way to look at it. In fact, our company did a training about that, how to sell to each of the different generations. And
Ooh, I like it.
yeah, it's really cool, but it's been a while since I took it. I probably should take it again. But for us, like for instance, we have an agent that's 75 and we have an agent that's 19. So we
Ah,
have such a variety of that, and
yeah,
one loves technology, one doesn't even know how to find a contact on their phone. Like it's that big difference, and you have to learn to teach. So when you're selling, and we want to keep agents in our company, we have to learn to adjust to that age group, that
yeah,
generation group, because the one that's having trouble with their phone, you have to be more patient and kind. But the other one, you have to be like, oh, 100 miles an hour, because that's how
right.
they think. So
Yeah,
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 there's so many great sales strategies out there, but I mean, the biggest thing is you have to love it. When you love it, all of this stuff is exciting. It's exciting learning about personality types. It's exciting learning, like when I learned about disc profiling, I was learning about who I was. This other
yeah.
methodology taught me who my client was. And so then I could look at Mr. Mr. Client. I have this link I send them, and I could send them and say, and I'll send it to you, John, because you'll get a kick out of it.
Oh, yeah, yeah, please.
And then when they get it, they get the report back about them, but I also get the report back about them. So immediately now I know when I'm going into an appointment, say I'm going on a listing appointment or a buyer's appointment, I know how to
Yeah.
communicate with them to the point where now I'm creating images that go with their personality type. For instance, high D, we'll
Mhm.
use that because everybody's familiar with the disc profile. They like Mercedes, right? They like nice cars. They like nice things. So when I create the images, I create the images around what they like. So I'm sitting in front of the seller, Mr. Seller, here's some information about our company. It's focused on all of the things that they like versus what I like.
Yeah, I like it.
So
That's smart.
their body language changes. It changes the whole thing because I'm speaking in their language.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. The more you can, pardon me, the more you can speak in their language, the more powerful they'll receive the message.
For
The
sure.
less, the less likely, um, if they, yeah, people will block you out. Like if you
Yeah.
start saying something that, doesn't make any sense to them, some have psychological blockages that date all the way back to like grade school that you don't even know about going into
Yeah.
the sales presentation.
Also, like when you look at like a C personality, which is an accountant, you have to know when you go there, you need to have lots of information. They love information. The people in the middle, they don't love it. They don't care really as much about the numbers as they do about how you make them feel. So, you can make a connection with someone that they'll never forget you. But the C personality doesn't care about the hugs and all the small talk. They want the numbers. They want to see that you did your research, you came prepared. So it just really helps you to be a better rounded salesperson.
Yeah, I completely understand all that because I deal with all the above in my business. Um, and when I was in the software biz, it was all about does your stuff work and will it work on my network? And everything else was kind of irrelevant. It was great that they liked me, and that's how I'd kind of beat out my competition in the end. But at the same time, my stuff didn't work, and I didn't seem technical, and I didn't seem knowledgeable about what my stuff did or could do for them. Guards go up; they won't even talk to you.
They won't even,
I
yeah, they
like
just,
this whole like personality demographic
yeah, you're going to love
thing
this.
we're
This is so
going
cool.
down
I can't
though.
wait to share it with you, and then you can
Yeah,
share it with everyone. But yeah,
yeah, absolutely.
it's just meeting people where they are, right? Being where they
Yeah,
are. They are the client. And so I have to do that all the time with our agents, and I have to meet them in the space that they're at. And this
yeah,
tells, if you understand sales, and John, you have been doing way more sales than I have, and especially the sales training.
yeah,
It's different. And I know you're extremely qualified at it. But if you're looking at the softer side is learning what you can about your client, researching them before you meet with them. For instance, social media gives us an opportunity to know so much about them. Like, so don't just meet with someone blindly. Go online,
Yeah.
I'll find out about,
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
if they're a Pittsburgh Steeler fan, you want to walk in talking about the Steelers. If they're anybody else, you don't want to talk about it. Who cares? So I really do think being relatable is amazing. But again, there's personality types that don't really care. So you have to learn your client. And that will
Yep.
make you so much better at sales because you took the time to research and learn about them before you met with them. It just speaks volumes for who you are and how you're doing it.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And you guys are doing so. I am curious about this. I thought about this before we did this show today, but do your agents ever have people that are going to buy a new home that are, going to be selling their home? Do they ever have
Hmm.
them like send pictures of their current home?
Hmm. Yes.
Yeah, I think that's so solid because you see where they live now, so you get a feel for
Yeah.
maybe what they like.
They
And
like,
then
yeah.
one of the best questions is, what would you change? Like at your current home, what would you like to be different? Bigger closets, a bigger family room, a bigger this, a bigger that, smaller this, a smaller that, it depends upon the person and the life stage or whatever. But I think that's so important. Like you're saying, do the research. And what better way to do the research to see where they currently live? And there
Yes.
might be some freebies there, like there might be a set of golf clubs in the corner. There
Right.
might be, a picture of them in Hawaii. There might be something that's relatable that you can build for rapport early on,
Yes.
um, to include with the social media.
Right. And that's one thing early in sales that they taught us when you walked in the house, because we didn't have social media. When you walked in the house, just pay attention to the surroundings for a minute before you sit down. So then you can learn, hey, what sports team do they like? What kind of cars in the garage? You can learn about their personality in those minutes prior to even having that conversation at the table. So yeah, sales is an incredible skill set. You just learning how to sell, and I think all real estate agents should learn how to do that. All people should learn how to sell. So, heck, I'm learning how to be a public speaker just so that I can speak better when I'm talking on podcasts and when I'm doing things, so that I don't use the word and things like that. So I'm constantly learning about things that aren't a real estate agent normally would do, right? The real estate agent wouldn't normally take a professional speaking course, but why not? Because we're speaking all the time. We're speaking to our clients, we're
Yeah,
speaking to little audiences. Maybe we talk in front of the chamber or do webinars. We're always talking. So why not be the best speaker possible? So I agree. I think sales is the same thing. Real estate agents never go into it learning sales. It's something they actually have to do outside of what the state teaches you or what the real estate commission teaches you. They do not teach you sales. I would
right.
recommend everyone taking sales courses.
Oh, I would too, Dion. So especially since I have one. But hey,
Yeah,
real
there's that.
quick,
Yeah.
you said something, and it's something that I kind of live by, and that's like how you make people feel. So whether I'm talking to like a CPA or a doctor or like a wealthy CEO of a company, I'm always thinking like, how am I making them feel? Like a lot of times when you see people that are more in, I don't know, other types of sales professions where it's like people just come into you and it's more of a retail situation and you might not ever see them again, so it's not like it tends to not be as a relationship type sell. But like
Okay.
when I'm overcoming objections, I don't even like calling them objections because I think that's adversarial. And I
Mm,
think the worst thing you can be in business is adversarial. I,
yeah.
I
Great.
call all objections questions because I'm analytical. And when I'm buying something, I'm drilling down to understand if it's going to be good for me or not. Whether the salesperson thinks it's going to be good for me or not, I got to be convinced that it's going to be good for me. And what I'd say is like when I overcome an objection or a question, I like to call it a question. I'm always thinking like, as I say this, how will this be received? How will they feel? And how, more importantly, how will they feel about me? Because
Mm,
ultimately they're going to be buying from me. And if I seem like a jerk, a know-it-all, you're an idiot, the list goes on and on. So I always try to bring people along for the ride. Have you heard that before?
Yeah, I think that's great. And one thing you were talking about
Yeah,
was objections, and first, so I've been in real estate 20 years. When we first
yeah,
started, I had a real estate trainer who used to teach us about objection handling, right? And scripts, where
yeah.
we would role play and practice over and over again so that when someone said something to us, they could not catch us off guard because we already understood that that was coming, right? There's so
Okay,
many things that
sure.
a seller
Yeah,
will say, there's so many things that a buyer will say, and they taught us how to do that. So I think what happened, the industry got away from that, with YouTube and social media, they don't sit there and practice anymore. But role playing is such an awesome part of sales, learning how to speak to your customers. And what you said, like, there's these relationships, like you go into this store, and there's the first thing someone says, is there anything I can help you with? People are so guarded. They're like, no, 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 no. I try to be different now because I used to be guarded too until I realized this is their job. This is how they make a living. So let's treat that with some respect. And I do. And then I just have a conversation with them, so that they feel good about it because they're already nervous asking me. They're not like they're professional salespeople. They're learning this too. So I don't know. I have
right.
a different respect for people. I've learned a lot by not being the nicest person. By whenever someone called me and I didn't like the cold calling, and I wasn't very nice, and I thought, geez, they're just trying to do their job. So I've changed in a season of who I
Right.
am today, right? I've learned a lot of hard lessons, and not and just have to give people some grace.
Oh yeah, you got to treat people well. I always try to treat people well, but in the same respect, like I will not reward a bad salesperson unless I really want the product. You know?
Yeah, so no matter what they say, it doesn't matter because you want it. So it doesn't even matter.
Yeah, yeah. Like I've all like that's almost like when I bought solar panels for the house. I
Yeah,
kind of already decided I wanted solar panels. Um, so the salesperson could have said anything, and I would have bought the solar panels because I
it doesn't
just,
matter.
you know, I had already convinced myself I wanted them. Um, but yeah, you just you run into so many salespeople that are so linear in what they're doing, and they're not broad. Like I love the fact that you talked about finding out information about somebody on social media. Like like I do that in my business. I found people that there are articles in their newspaper about them. I found out that like they're a PhD. I found out that they've written books. I've gone out and looked at the books because you can go out to like Amazon and read like the sample of the book or whatever. And so I stalk the heck out of these prospects, and then I barely mention just a little bit to let them know that like I know something about them, but I don't make it sound like, you know, I'm a fan, so to
Yeah,
speak. You know,
yeah.
I use it, but I don't like I know everything about you. You know, like I don't
Yeah,
make it weird.
I think you're a stalker. Yeah, like
Yeah, yeah. I try not to make it weird, but I use it, and then I'm also like, and I'm sure you kind of do this too when you have this information. I also make it like foggy in my brain so that they can correct me on it a little bit because people love correcting us, and it makes them feel good. And
yeah,
so if you act like you know exactly what they've done, then then they can't correct you. And if they can, and and once they've corrected you, now they're kind of in the driver's seat. They're going to feel more comfortable working with you because it's a give and a take. It's not just boom, boom, boom. It's them kind of adding to it and everything. So I'm curious. Like I've only bought two houses in my lifetime, so I don't have a lot of real estate background. I've uh, I've sold a house for my mom, and I've bought two houses for myself, and that's it. Like I don't have a huge, but I gotta believe like it's kind of an emotional sell, isn't it? Like that's how it's been for me.
it's very emotional and more emotional than not for most. A lot of
Yeah,
people, are sad when they leave their house, even if they're upsizing. There's that sense of connection. They've been there,
yeah,
memories that went on in that house. So the memories are still here. We still get to keep the memories, but you just get to move into a new space and create new ones. But there's a lot
right.
of tears. There's a lot of screaming. There's a lot of fighting. There's a lot of things that behind the scenes that they don't show on HGTV, and they make it look like everything's perfect. But the emotional side of it, I always say that real estate agents are like, counselors too. We wear many
I would
hats,
think,
one of which
yeah.
is, sometimes we have to deal with a husband and a wife that aren't getting along and try to bring this whole thing together too when they're not even speaking. So, you have that, you have the emotional attachment, you have the babies being born in that, in that range and growing up in that house. You have the parents, passing, and then this house filled with memories, and nobody wants it. Nobody wants the stuff. Like, there's so much emotion in real estate. You have to have very, very broad shoulders. And you can be emotional too, but you have to be stronger than you are emotional.
Makes sense. Yeah. Cause you got to be the rock for the people that are like literally, like you're saying, when they give those keys away, they're giving their memories, you know,
They
kind of
forget that the
away.
memories in their
They'll
head,
still
right?
have their memory.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's definitely not for the weird. We always say that, real estate could take a good person and make them bad, because it's very easy for people to get disrespected in this business. And they use that whole idea of, the car salesman. But car salesmen are important. I love car salesmen. They give me my favorite cars, and I spend time with them. And my car salesman, I think he's the greatest. I love him. And but we get some bad,
Yeah, I got my car salesman on text. Like if I want to
yeah.
buy a new car right now, I can
Yeah.
text him and say, "Hey, I'm looking for such and such and so, so send me a picture."
Yeah, and ours is the same way, and he's such a great human being. And
Aw,
I just want everyone to be successful, and I think that's what helps me to understand all of the different fields. Like, I want everyone to have success, whatever that means to them in their life. And I think that's why we're doing well as a brokerage, because we're not pushing people that don't want to be pushed. If you just want to come in and sell a couple houses a year, it's okay. It's okay. But if you want to sell 100 houses, let's talk about how we get there. So we have all kinds of sales that we have to do in Realty One Group Gold Standard.
absolutely. Imagine you got a drip on people. Like people don't talk about that. I don't see that a lot in sales training. And like me being in sales over 30 years, like I'm constantly dripping on people. What's that mean? I'm constantly staying in contact
Like,
with
yeah,
them.
yeah, it's that follow up is it's the most important part of being in sales, and 90% of people don't do it, no matter what they
I
don't.
agree. I agree. Yeah,
There's a whole
you and I
industry
speak the
to be
same
on follow
language.
up. Yeah, we should create an industry on how to just follow up. Here, give me your information. We'll do it for you. I swear, there's so much opportunity in that space, not just with real estate, with every sales, whatever you do. Follow up is how you maintain those customers. They become the people that know, love, and trust you forever. They'll feed you business. They'll give you their friends and family. They'll give you anybody that says, "Hey, who do you know to buy a car from? Who do you know to buy a house from?" If you're not top of mind, forget it. They're just going to go on to the next person. It's the next society. It's too easy for people to do that. So if you're not following up, someone else will be.
Dionne, I love it because you're speaking my language. So, and I believe there's like follow up and there's professional follow up.
Yeah,
Like, and there's a huge difference because professional follow through makes them feel good that you recontacted them, and it makes them feel good that like one, you're still in business. Two, you seem upbeat, so you must be doing business. Um,
it validates you, right? It's the validity
yes,
of that, right?
yep, exactly. But then there's horrible follow up too that I've witnessed over the years in different occupations and sales, and horrible follow up gets horrible results. But you bring up such a good point, and I've never thought about this before, but I'm sure I've witnessed it. Like something that's really good at follow up doesn't even need to be a great closer because
Oh,
you want them to be a good closer, of course, but you can be a bad closer and great at follow up and close a bunch of business
a bunch,
because
because they're
if
never going
you're
to forget
really
you
good
because
at
you're top of
follow
mind.
up. What's
What
that?
they're top of mind, so they're always going to be the person that they think of if you're out there in front of them. And I always say this. This is my famous thing that I've said since 20 years. 7 times creates memory, and 12 times equals mind dominance. I want to be in that mind dominance space. I want when someone says, who do you know to sell a house? Call Dionne.
Absolutely.
Who do you know? What company should I join? Call Realty One Group Gold Standard. I want to be there in that top of mind space. And the only way you do it is by consistent effort, time after time. Keep doing it. Yeah, you don't have to focus on hundreds of people at a time. You can bring that focus in, and you can really make a difference in your career.
But I like the route we're going down. I mean, I think follow up so important. Like I came up with a word picture to help me with follow up because I got to constantly follow up, and it's like follow up and follow through, just like a golf shot. Do you
Yeah.
golf?
No, I don't.
You don't? Okay, but you've seen people like golf on
Oh,
TV,
yeah, I
right?
understand. Yes, I do.
Okay, because sometimes professional golfers will purposefully not follow all the way through on the shot because it's a short shot, but they never, when they drive a golf ball, which is the longest, you know, the longest club in the bag.
Yeah.
So it's also the one where you're trying to hit the longest. You got to bring it all the way back and bring it all the way through, just like in sales. Like you got to, take them all the way through the process and close them at the end, and you got to follow through. Like the worst thing you can do is not follow through. But gosh, I'm just so like that's something I'm passionate about, like follow through.
It's huge,
Just
and
because
we're not good enough at it as an industry. I can tell you
no,
on the real estate side for sure. And even on the, let's just talk about the car because we just brought that up.
yeah,
You think about sales, I know that if I have a great person and I love him, but I don't see him doing regular follow up with me. He doesn't send out things to me or,
oh
but
really? Okay.
he's my person. So, I already have him picked and he's my person. So maybe they don't think that they have to continue to follow up, but
No,
I
maybe
think
not.
the follow-up industry is huge. My one partner, Greg, he used to own a company that taught agents how to follow up, and he created all the pieces and parts back before there was so much online. And he would say, give us the information and we'll help you follow up. And I thought it was a brilliant idea. And
Yeah,
I mean, there's a book that's written by a owner of Keller Williams, and it's a millionaire real estate agent, and he talks about that follow
yeah,
up and how important it is. And he talks about a 33 touch program. So in a year that you should have touched your client 33 times, which sounds overwhelming, but
it
listen,
does.
24 of it could be emails, right? So it could
Yeah,
be you put them on an email newsletter once a month. For us, we can put them on a market update of their zip code. That's 2. That's 24. We're already 2/3 of the way through. Then you make a call once a quarter. Then you do an event twice a year. So all of a sudden, that 33 goes away quickly. You send them something in the mail, item of value every couple of months. It's a simple process. It's
yeah,
just, yeah, and you don't have to make it difficult. But it's the process that people don't put together. Because let me go straight back to the thing we started with. Because of personality types, some people are just not good at that, right?
yeah,
The C in disc, the C personality would be fantastic at the processes, but the middle ones, they're not that good at it. They're worried about influence and stability, not paperwork. So, if you have to find a way to be able to do it, in the actions, they just do everything. They just do everything and anything. It doesn't matter because they want to succeed. They're just the drivers. So,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, just understanding that. And if we could create a company that would be the follow-up company of the world, we could be billionaires.
Well, Salesforce is kind of a follow-up machine software. Like it's all about like not, once it's an opportunity, it's in
Mhm.
the CRM. There's like a lot of CRMs will do that too. Like,
Yeah,
well, but yeah, I hear you. I
but
hear
there's
you.
that personal touch the CRM doesn't hit, and that's the
No,
thing,
that's true. That's
right? So,
true. People know when they're being, something I do, and this would be something that could be like used by any of your agents, is I respond to a follow up. Like if they ask me a question, like I send them an email, they ask me a question, I answer that question. I don't delete the email. Why do I not delete the email? Because some people have like a spam filter set up for new email,
okay.
and I know this email got through the spam filter. And so I respond, like if I want to send them a new message, I reply again and maybe ask for an appointment or give them, hey, I got some new information to share with you. I have Tuesday at this time available. And by responding to that, I know I'm getting through the spam filter. But two, there's almost like a comfort level that, oh, this is a guy that like I can look down the email chain and I can see that like, yeah, I've chatted with them a little bit.
Yeah, it's
So
not a
I'm more
brand.
comfortable with them. Like if I send a brand new one, like you're saying, if it's a C-level person, they might or might not remember me. If it's an artist or a writer, they probably would remember me. You know, they're more touchy-feely, emotional kind of, but many people might not have a clue of who I am, especially if it was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Some people can't do that, like leave email in that long, but I can, and I think it's powerful. The other thing I do, if there's somebody I really want to touch and meet with again, I respond to my own email that I sent to them with a reply all,
Wow, nice. Okay.
which
That's a good idea.
seems well, it seems wild. Like, why would you do that? It kind of looks professional though, because then they can see that exactly 2 weeks ago this guy contacted me. It's
Right.
2 weeks later. I might even put that, hey, 2 weeks ago I reached out to you about our meeting that we had December the 15th. I use all of this like
It's like a reminder, like you remind them about it. So, because we
yeah.
have a lot of things coming in our head throughout a day, right? So it's easy. Yeah, I like that. I think it's actually very good, John.
Well, and and you guys can all use it too, but the thing that's cool about it is like it shows that I'm organized. And it
Yes.
shows that anybody that would do it is organized. But then seeing the date, like the human mind is such that as time is going by, we think we need to do something. You know, I'd be like, hey, Dionne, when did you get your oil changed in your car last? Oh my God, I got to get my oil changed in my car.
Yeah.
You know, but like, you know, we just celebrated Christmas. We just celebrated New Year's. Now we're 11 days into the new year. Um, you know, like an email such that like, hey, it's almost mid-January already. Can't believe that. It like gets people's attention. They're like, oh my God, it's already mid-January.
It is funny because it does provoke conversation, like the little things that
Yeah.
we that, right? They're conversation starters.
Yep. Time flying by and people like, um, yeah, I always do that. Like the heading of my email say, oh, it's almost May. Oh, it's almost June. Oh, it's almost summer. It's always almost something in one of my
Almost
emails.
something.
Yeah.
I like
So
that.
yeah, but I love the fact that we're talking about follow up because I think psychologically, and you probably would agree on this, like salespeople will spend time doing things that are non revenue generating, and
So
it's
say this about this because I think this is important in our industry,
yeah,
just probably any industry. They say that 70, I think it's the number 75% of all people don't remember their agent's name after a certain amount of time. So that would tell
interesting.
me that 25% are doing the right thing. They're doing the follow up, but the 75, the opportunity is massive. And so,
Oh my God, yeah,
yeah, so the statistics are alarming for that because there are a lot of agents that are always trying to do the next best thing, go pay for leads, go out online and buy leads, right? And you get for every 100 leads, you might get one conversion, versus 100 people that you know that you're constantly dripping on, right? And all of a
I like
sudden,
it.
you're going to get 10% from that group versus 1%.
Yeah,
It's
that
just
makes a lot of sense. Do you guys send your picture with every email?
like a photo.
Yes.
I mean, my photo's in my signature. But
Okay.
are you
But
saying
like
send?
all your agents, they send a picture, right,
I
with
mean,
every.
I probably not. I think a
Oh,
couple of
really?
them have that, but I don't think everyone has that. I like that. They should be having that, right? Get that in their head.
Oh,
Photo.
absolutely. Yeah, because it's weird, but like we make a decision whether we're going to buy from somebody many times on how they look.
Hmm.
Like, does that person look trustworthy? You know, and like you were talking about working at McDonald's, I worked at a breakfast place when I was 16 years old, and I was a waiter when I was 16 years old. And these people would come in and be like, they'd look at me really strange, and I'd be like, "What's wrong?" And they'd be like, "You look just like our nephew." And I'm like, "Awesome! I know I'm getting a good tip tonight."
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. There's so many things we could talk about for sure, but I'm so appreciative that you had me be your guest on your show. It's so
Oh
awesome.
yeah, do you got a few more minutes to
Yeah,
spend, or do you?
of course.
Okay, okay, yeah, because I wasn't. I'm trying to have these about 50 minutes, so we're maybe 8 minutes away.
Yeah, yeah. Let's
Um,
continue.
but but I'm going to give you time, of course, to talk about your brokerage or anything at all that you want to promote, because you do some really cool stuff with your Facebook group and stuff like that. And
Right.
man, we call this the war room, but you can't get into the battle unless you're inspired.
Yeah, for sure. For
And
sure. There's that. And that's my job on this earth is to inspire and motivate people. I know that. I know that that's my God-given gift. And without that, I mean, some people, we go through a lot. I've been through a lot in my life, probably more than a lot of people. And I still keep
yeah,
getting up and keep moving, and I'm still smiling, and I'm still happy, and I'm getting up all the time when I'm pushed back down. But I think part of what I do on social media is that I
yeah,
try to create who I am in many ways. So I've created a Facebook group for mindset millionaires is what it's called. And it's because if you want to be a millionaire, all of that starts in your mind first. You have to first believe that you can be, right? Because if you go through your whole life and believe that you only deserve what you get and that's it, then you're never going to be successful like you want to be. So it starts there. So I had that idea of mindset millionaires, and I love it because it gives me an outlet where I can share all of my stuff that I love, and that I can help other people. And I get a lot of private messages from that where people are like, "You really changed my life. And I listen to
aw,
you, I see you all the time, and that made a big difference. That post is exactly what I needed today." So that's helpful for me because I like to do that in real life, but social media gives me a much bigger audience at one time. So,
yeah,
I love social media. I think it's a great tool for business. But I learned to teach my agents how to post and what to post. And I know we're in a couple of groups together where, social
yeah.
media has been a big thing, in that sales talk, Ryan has taught everybody about the different ways to post and what to do to be more effective. You don't want to just post the same thing over and over and over and over again. You have to be creative. And so I don't really think I've gone viral in any sense, but I've definitely affected a lot of people. So
Well, that's awesome, Dionne.
that helps it grow, right? That's going to help our brokerage because when people get to know who I am, they should be attracted to want to come here because I don't see other real estate owners in Pittsburgh alone doing anything like I'm doing. And
Yeah,
they're
that's
not
awesome.
helping, they're not recruiting I mean, they're not promoting their agents like we are. They're not making a big deal. They're not, making Facebook groups to help people. They're hiding behind it and they're much bigger than we are. So I think that gives us an opportunity now for the people to see Dionne and know who I am so that they want to be a part of this special company. So, that's my goal. I want to just affect people's life in a positive way every single day. And that's what I do.
That's awesome. Just knowing that is what drives you is awesome because so many business owners are just like profit oriented,
Oh,
and
yeah.
if
And I
you
want to make money
and
too. Don't worry. I want to make a lot of money.
oh,
But
no, 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 I know, I know, I know. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying you don't want to make money. I'm just saying that, like, in two, like many business owners too are more C oriented and they're not in touch with the emotional side, as are like a lot of sales managers too. Like, I've never been a sales manager except for maybe a very short period of time, but like the way some sales managers have treated me over the years blows my ever living mind.
Hmm.
Because like when you have a big producer, the last thing you want to do is upset them.
Yeah.
And and
You also want to be able to, like we have one of our top producers, him and I've had some times where we went like this together,
oh
like
really? Yeah.
not fighting, but giving him that extra push he needs to get to his next
Okay.
level. And so we've had some incredible conversations. And now, like, he's been here for 5 years. He has
Okay.
literally tripled his income. His life has changed
Wow.
dramatically. And when he started, things were so different, and we had so many conversations, and some were tough ones. Some were tough
Oh, I
conversations.
bet.
And so I look at him and think, wow, like I can't believe what's happened in 5 years. And it's a really funny story. I had an agent that joined us. He was a professional
Yeah.
baseball player, and he
Okay.
got let go from the LA teams. I can't remember what they're called, but as he was driving across the country, he talked to me and he's like, "I want to get my real estate license. I want to do this. I want to do that." Well, he did. So by the time he got home, he took his license. He got into real estate, and he literally called me almost every single day. And he 11 o'clock at night, he would be texting. My husband's like, "Who is that?" I'm like, "It's him." Why is he texting you? Because he needs an idea. Well, so John, he literally did everything I ever told him. And
Awesome.
he's no longer with our company anymore, because once you get to be a certain size, companies in Pittsburgh, and they'll pay you a bonus to join. It's like a sign-on bonus, which we can't do because we give the agent most of the money in the first place. So we don't
Right.
have that opportunity. But so that, he got offered some money, so he left. But end result is, I think he's like number 8 out of 8,000 agents in the West Penn multi list where we're at. And because he wasn't afraid to try everything. And so
Wow.
it's not to say that I know everything, but
Right.
the effort, like, he just kept putting in the effort. And I think that when I see agents, we have an agent in our company right now, a couple of them having their very best years ever, and they're just doing the work all the time. They're treating people good. They're doing the work. They're out there. COVID made it easy. You could just walk in a house. You didn't even have to have a presentation, list their house, and then they had 20 offers the next day. Now you actually have to go back to being people, right? You
Right.
have to
Right.
and talk to people, and you have to do a presentation, and you have to have the best presentation, and you have to do things differently now that we're back to normal real estate. It is a job. It's not fun all the time, but it is so rewarding, and the opportunity is greater than any other industry, I believe. You go to school for 75 hours and you can make more money than doctors and lawyers. How is that? Right?
Yeah. That's
So
great.
without all that debt, but you have to do the work, and it requires a lot of hard work. We just figured something out this week about something as simple as an open house, which has been around 100 years. Houses have been open, right?
Yeah.
And I had this idea: if an agent did one open house a week, and every month only got one viable buyer or seller, so they do 4 a month, but they only get
Hmm.
one lead. With our company, 12 transaction puts them about 80,000 a year, if they only got one lead from doing a 5-hour a week open house in a month. So
Yeah.
imagine if you got 2. Imagine if you got 5. So you take that open house and you make it the open house on steroids, the best open house anyone's ever seen. So every potential seller that walks in says, "Hey, I want Dionne to list my house. She is amazing. Did you see that open house?" Or every buyer that doesn't have an agent walks in, they want to because they're attracted to you. You can make
Right.
that email marketing, and you can make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year from focusing on one strategy only. But there's people that be like, "I'm too busy to sit in an open house. I'm too busy." Okay.
Yeah. It just like, to me,
Hard.
you're sitting in the product,
Yeah.
and I'm curious. I've been to a few open houses. So, an open house, is it better to have bagels or donuts?
Jeez, I don't know. I think it's just better to have something. Like, one of our agents, she makes it like a big deal. She has a signature drink that she has. So people will
Oh,
come
wow.
they'll come to support her, but they'll also be coming to the house because they're interested in the house. And then there's ones that'll just be the neighbors, but those neighbors will list their house with her because they love what she's doing. And then our other agent that's doing successful,
I like it.
yeah,
I like it.
he's running 5 or 6 open houses a weekend with him and his team, and they're doing these awesome promotions. In fact, the other day it snowed, so they got a sled and they went into one of their listings, and they were sliding down the hill on a sled of the listing, showing how much fun they could have at this house. So they're just super creative people, and they're doing cool
Yeah.
stuff. But if you just, that's the thing, you got to find something that you love. I know that the opportunity in real estate is greater than most industries because you don't have to spend a couple $100,000 to get there, but you have
Right.
to spend a lot of time working, and you have to do the work. I have a guy that I know, he's like, I don't ever work weekends. And I'm like, unfortunately, real estate's a weekend business. That's when people are off. Maybe take off Mondays and Tuesdays, right? And then,
Right.
just work the weekends for a while. And then someday when you get in business long enough, you can hire people to help you. So it's a great opportunity. Real estate it's hard, it's exhausting. Sometimes the day before closing, the deals fall apart and you don't get paid. But then there's that one buyer that looked at one house and bought the first house you showed them, and you got paid. So the balance. So I used to feel guilty about it. I'd be like, "Oh, we make a lot of money." Well, you know what? There's sometimes we make zero money. So on that one that I showed them 50 houses and they still haven't bought a house, it makes up for it for the one that looked at only 2. So, the balance,
Right.
I understand that balance. But anyways, I'm getting off on a tangent. I apologize. I am.
No, no, I hear you. I used to feel bad, like, when I was in the software business because I was making so much money, and I'm like, God, I'm making more money than the people that are like, in charge of these computer networks. And I kind of felt bad about it because, like, honestly, I think they were smarter than me. But anyway, I, and then and then like in the software business, you do a markup. So like the software, you get it for X amount and you mark it up to X or whatever. And I feel bad about that until a friend of mine said something to me, and he said, John, he's like, don't be afraid to be a retailer. He's like, the worst thing you can do is sell for nothing and make nothing, because we don't say this very often, but you think about selling a house, right? You think about selling a car, and you think about all these things that we can sell, and we don't think about the nutritional value of it. And people are like, nutritional value? What are you talking about? Well, if you don't buy this, I won't eat.
Oh, I love
Have you
that.
heard that before?
No, I never heard that. That's
I
so
love
good.
it
I'm writing
too,
that down. Nutritional
especially
value.
in some of the businesses I've been in, because it's so hard to understand where there'd be nutritional value. It's like, so there's a nutritional value too. If you buy this $150,000 software package, nutritional value. Yeah,
That's so
yeah.
good. I'm definitely going to borrow that one.
Okay, it's a good one. It's a good one. Well, I'm going to go ahead and promote what I do. I am John the Sales Warrior Sansoni. I've been professionally selling successfully for 34 years. What can I teach you? How to prospect, present, follow up, and most importantly, how to close. I have a 3-day masterclass that includes inspiration, motivation, and the mental tools to succeed in business and sales. My course includes worksheets, audio, video, and can be taken in 30 action blocks. Also included, how to have greater confidence. My course should be $400. If you get it today, $29.95. And included my book for free. Once purchased, you'll get free monthly inspiration from me. Just go to saleswarriorinspire.com and order yours today. That's it. Back to the show.
John, that sounds amazing. Like, I would love for our agents to be sitting in front of you for that boot camp.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, and they can do it at their just a little bit every day, because it's a digital boot camp. So it's just a little bit every day. And here lately, I don't know why, but I've been giving away 30 minutes of free time with me, where I go through somebody's sales process and kind of tweak it a bit to make them more successful. So it's got that little thing that I've been doing as an add-on.
For that, yeah, that's
Yeah. I won't be able to do that forever, Dionne. I won't be able to do that forever.
No, it'll take away all of your time, but that is amazing. And I'm so glad to have you in my life. I'm glad that we met.
Thank you.
And, I think that, I love having talks with you. We always come up with some good stuff. So thank you so much for having me.
Oh, absolutely. I wanted to have you on so bad, because it's just hit me like somebody needs to talk about the emotional side of sales and the psychological side of sales. I mean, not to throw out any names, but there's the Jeremy Minor guy. I don't think he'd be successful at all in any of the businesses I've ever been in. Like, he's snarky, and he's goofy, and he's snarky. He would get kicked out of a lot of the boardrooms that I've sat in before, because snarky and goofy. Well, goofy is okay, because a lot of IT people are kind of goofy, and that's okay. But snarky and goofy is bad.
Yeah, I don't think I would like that either. I'm not that person. Like, I'm all about laughing and having a good time, but I'm
absolutely
making money.
Yeah, this idea of being the macho salespeople, I think that's a thing of the past. I think it's more like being analytical, emotional, and tying it to what that person really wants. And the more you know that person, the more you can figure out what they would really want. So there's less like indecision on your part as a salesperson, and indecision on their part, like as a real estate person. You're only going to show them the houses that would make sense to them. And like me, I would only show them the products that would make sense to them, like that I know they would already like. Because why show them everything when they're only going to be interested in, A, B, and C, so to speak.
And once you learn their personality, then you'll know what they're most interested in.
And how to talk to them about it. Like, I love that you brought that up too, because like we're calling this the War Room. And people, when you go to war, think about the personality you're talking to. I mean,
Sure.
and two, like demographics play a role. Talk to a baby boomer different than you talk to Generation X, different than you talk to a millennial.
Yes.
It would be my feedback too. And the great time, what is it called? Like our parents are called the good time generation.
Oh.
And they're a lot different to speak with than like the boomers.
The
The
boomers, yeah, for
boomers are
sure.
more free spirited. The good time generation is more to the they don't talk about things as much. They're very quiet. They used to call them the quiet generation. Then they called them the good time generation because it was a time period without war. But anyway, I digress.
That's okay.
So, all right. Well, we're going to close out the first
All right.
episode of Saleswarrior War Room. Do you have any extra little bits of, the last thing you want to tell everybody, Dionne, before we sign off? And then I need you to stay on, like I'd mentioned.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I just be who you are, share your light, be a good person, because at the end of the day, people are attracted to that. And I think that makes sales a lot easier when you have an attractive personality. So that's my best advice. And, I wish everyone the best. Sales is an awesome opportunity to make a lot of money and have a very successful life. So if you need help, call someone like John. He'll help you get through that and go through the barriers and the so-called objections that you have in your industry.
Welcome to Saleswarrior War Room.